and viewers. Welcome to this week in interview on February the 1st, 2023. We've done one. There is 11 more to go. Months that is in the year of 2023. I hope as we spent a lot of time in January talking about your goals and the achievement of your goals and the pursuit of your dreams, that you find that you're well on your way. We are off the mark. 1 month gone, check January off, and we are starting February. Well, tonight, the 1st of February, we're going to be talking calypso because February is the month of our carnival this year, anyway. And I know a lot of you, well, most of you may be engrossed in the calypsos and the tents and all of that. And I hope you're having a good time. If you're not Dominican and you happen to be Trinidadian, it's also your carnival time. And I think Carriacou and some of the other places, Grenada, I know celebrates theirs in August, but I think Carriacou still keeps theirs at this time of the year. And so, because we are starting the carnival festivities, and carnival is such a huge part of the Caribbean and the Dominican cultural scene, I decided to do tonight's program in that theme. And I invited one of the icons, one of the local icons, Mr. Pat Aaron, to be my guest on This Week in Interview tonight. Those of you who know Pat, know him as a kingmaker. He is one of the folks, he has a Midas touch when it comes to calypso in Dominica. If he touches you, you have a high probability of becoming king. That is my opinion anyway. And we can talk about that. But in the meantime, let me just say welcome to you. I hope that you had a good day. And my regular listeners, those of you who come back every Wednesday after Wednesday after Wednesday, I appreciate you more and more and more every week because you make me feel special that you put This Week in Interview as part of your schedule. And so my objective is to make sure that we deliver a program to you that you are going to find interesting. In the meantime, I want to invite you to share the link, share the live, however it is that you are listening, whether it's on Facebook, on our This Week in Interview Facebook page or TDN Radio Facebook page, share the link. Invite somebody to join us. Those of you who are not doing Facebook, or you may not be in a position where you do Facebook, so you may be doing YouTube on TDN Network 1 on YouTube, TDN Network 1 on YouTube. Invite somebody to join you. And of course, we have TDNTV.net, TDNTV.net, where you can see us. And if you are driving or doing something where you cannot pay attention with your eyes, but you can listen, you can always join us on TDNRadio.net. And so I invite you to share the link with folks. I always invite you to share the link with 5 people. And if you are on one of the social medias where you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Facebook page, and hit the bell button so you can be notified when we are going live. In Dominica, we have RVR Jams on DigiPlay Channel 59, who carries This Week in Interview Live. And then I think SBE Radio in Toronto also carries This Week in Interview Live. They're relatively new. I think this will be their 3rd program. So good night to you in Toronto if you're hearing us from there. It's such a pleasure to have you. SBE Radio is an online radio, and they are Haitian. They're primarily Haitian programming. And so I'm extremely proud because, a lot of folks meet me and ask me if I am Haitian. I'm very proud to say I'm not, but I wish I was. Um, I have very strong admiration for the country and the people of Haiti. Totally identify with them and their struggles. The month of February is Black History Month, and so later in the month, Calypso is part of our Black history. But later in the month, we're going to be doing some programming that recognizes Black history. We are going to be touching some hot buttons. Why? Trying to look at why it seems like our folks are still trying to get onto the first rung, the first step on that ladder of respect and development of our people. Also, this week we did final farewells to an icon of Dominican calypso, King Solo, and so we want to say condolences to his family and friends and to all of Dominica, because Mighty Solo is a staple in Dominica calypso scene, and so we extend our condolences to all of Dominicans, especially to his family and friends. So, as I said tonight, my guest is Mr. Pat Aaron. We're going to learn more about him, but if you don't know about him, you're going to learn about him tonight. And I'm guessing if you don't know about him, it's because you may not be Dominican. And even if you're not Dominican, you probably would have heard some of his contribution to calypso. So what I want to do is take a break, and instead of doing the CARICOM anthem, I am going to do a song from my guest when he used to compete as a frontline. When I say frontline, performing on stage, calypsonian. Let's listen to the musician as he did it. I think it's in 1986. Everyone wants to be the calypso king.
Everything to further their education. Every corner around the town to them is a stage. Running around with people who already have things made. They never think to go to a summer class. Some people just like a whip on their back. Do good for some nigga man is just mama ras. Friends I learn as a Dominican. Just do the best you can. But don't kill yourself for man. You won't get satisfaction. They don't know how hard I'm working while they're sleeping. They don't know music is the air that I breathe in. I come with a working plan. They come in with body slam. A big good man believe in this thing on television. They don't know while they campaigning I maintaining. They don't know while they in tongue lining I jamming well hard. They don't see the good you do. They prefer to back talk you. They don't see the country they destabilizing. They would have people demonstrating while they're shaking hands with the queen. Anything to be the calypso king. A minister or trade union leader in serving his country and his people. Must have good manners and public relations too. If not just making a big impression in town, scaring judges from the competition, promoting yourself and pulling the country down. Calypso today is high education. We stopping one to stay at the home and in the ground. They don't know how hard I working while they're sleeping. They don't know how much my hunger does be boiling. While ladies organizing, it's up to organizing just to see the work done, not to get the most voting done. They don't know while they're partying. want to back up you, they don't see their own fans that they are misleading. They will tell all the people struggle to be ambassador in Brussels. Anything to be the calypso king. Christophile, Sepu Sala, Christophile, Uto Afweya. Christophile, Sepu Sala, Christophile, Uto Afweya. Bip, bidi bip, bidi bip, bidi bip, bidi bip, bidi bip, bidi.
Right, that was the man, the musician, Pat Aaron. You know, he did this song, and this is one of my all-time favorite calypsos. I have a few, like from Spider. Spider has a few that I really, really like. He has one called Hypocrites. But this one from Pat Aaron, the musician, is one of my all-time favorites. Pat is joining us from Dominica, and it seems he's having a little bit of an issue connecting, and so he will join us shortly. But let's just talk a little bit about calypso while we wait for my guest to while we wait for my guest Pat Aaron to join us. You know, I Pat was performing at the time around the time I was in high school. And the Dominica Grammar School, we we had a bar at Carnival City. So every night there was something going on for Carnival. We would be in Carnival City. And so I got to see all the shows. I got to see all the Calypso shows, the Queen shows, and all of those things. Um, and I remember, you know, having very fond memories of Calypso competition. It was a big night. It was a huge, huge, huge night in Dominica. And I guess it's probably the same in the other islands in the Caribbean. Calypso is such an integral part of our culture. And I venture to say that Calypso is the one art form that has been continuously progressive in Dominica. So there was one time that we had a very strong performing arts, like, you know, we had a number of theoretical groups who used to put on theater and dance and productions. And we would go to the Ara House of Culture and watch the performances. Um, you know, we know the evolution of Kalas music and then bouillon, and the music part in Dominica has been vibrant. We know of visual arts, the paintings, and so on. But Calypso is the one art form in Dominica that has progressively improved. And I make that point. And even today, when I watch the competitions this year, the quarterfinals has gone by, it is the one area that you see young men show a strong interest in. It is that one area. You see our young men are not shy, they're not timid, they don't turn up their nose at Calypso, they jump in and they compete. And so something about Calypso is able to appeal to our young people, our young men, and we see some young women also venturing into that as well. And so maybe we can study what about Calypso that seem to have cracked the code to keep our young people steadily interested. And so, you know, every time there are some greats, like we had the NC and Spider and what's this guy from Daly's, but he lives in Granby. Oh, I don't remember my partner name. You know, but the different people who used to compete, the different people who used to compete for the crown. We had King Hurricane, we had Levi Low Black, we had the musician, we had as I said, we had NC. And those guys used to compete, and we were thinking, okay, this is a era in Calypso. When these guys um retire, what's going to happen to Calypso? And then we had the dice, and we have all of these other um, Calypsonians come on stream. And so Calypso is the one thing in Dominica that has continuously improved. Our economy goes up, and in my opinion, it's been going down for the longest while. Um, you know, all the other stuff, they ebb. Our course of culture, I don't even know if that is still functional. I get the impression that it's in a state of disrepair. Um, so we have to look at what Calypso that causes these young people to stay engaged and to stay contributing. It seems like I have my guest on with me now. Pat, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay. You sound a little muffled, but I'm not sure. Well, welcome to This Week in Interview.
Thank you. Can you hear me any better now?
I'm hearing you better now. Yes. Right. So sorry about the hiccup in connecting, but you know the technology sometimes has a mind of its own. But you're here with us now, and I'm happy to have you. You've been on This Week in Interview, I think, one time before briefly. But it's a pleasure to have you. And we're going to be talking Calypso. We're going to introduce you to my audience, especially folks who are not Dominicans, to know who you are. And I'm very excited about tonight's conversation. So welcome.
Thank you. I heard you say a while ago in analyzing Calypso and our economy, you said our economy goes up and down. But for the past 23 years, our economy has never taken one dot up.
It's just been down, right?
Down, never. And it will never go up until we have a proper government in the country.
Right. And I was making the point that despite the economy going in the opposite direction, the point I was making is that Calypso is one aspect that has continuously progressed in Dominica, in my opinion.
Yes, the only one. Every other industry, every other
aspect of Dominican life
has gone down. And right now, they want to try to bring Calypso down to meet the others, and that's not going to happen.
Yes. So, you know, and like I said, what I'm saying is that we don't even have to give oxygen to the naysayers. Calypsonians have been accustomed to doing their thing. The thing is that to be a Calypsonian, you have to have a certain amount of radicalness about you. To take yourself and put yourself in front of thousands of people and sing and perform, and all eyes are on you. It takes that certain level of like almost like I don't care what people think about me. I'm doing my thing, and maybe that
it takes boldness, it takes bravado, it takes confidence. Huh?
Exactly.
And while you're on that topic, it just reminds me of something I've been thinking about. Maybe if we want to get better leaders in the islands, we need to have a calypso competition as part of the criteria to get into office. Let the politicians in the public. I'm sure we'll have better leaders coming from that.
You remind me when I had Henry Shillingford on. He said, you know, you need a Rasta to run the place. but you know, you have a point. There has to be, you know, or every other aspect in life, people have to have certain qualifications to feel it. And to be a politician, you can just decide and go. And if you have money, or you can convince people and find a way to win, you become part of the government.
I mean, Tony, think of this. To be a Calypso king is not an easy thing.
Right.
But it's so easy to win, to become a prime minister, to win an election. The worst person can win But in calypso, only
That
the best wins.
that's an interesting concept you're saying there. You're saying that it's easier to become the prime minister of Dominica than it is to become a calypso king.
Yes. I mean, in a political competition or an election, the worst
Mhm.
person can win. But in the calypso, if you're not the best, you cannot win.
Right, because the competition is tough. So what we need to do is to translate the system by which we choose our calypso king, learn those lessons,
Mm.
and apply them to the other aspects of our lives. Maybe we will do better in sports, we will do better in politics, we'll do better in governance. But Pat, I have you on, and not everybody knows who you are because, as I said, I have quite a few members of my audience who are not Dominican. So let's start from there. And I want you to just, I know you have a very illustrious career in the calypso scene in Dominica. So I hope you can summarize it in a couple of minutes. Tell us, what got you started. And your calypso name was musician, so that suggests that you have a passion for music, I think. But I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I want you to tell us how you started on that journey of calypso, and just give us a brief synopsis of the progress through the years.
Well, like you said a while ago, music has always been a part of me. It's in my family. And as far as I can remember, I've always been writing songs. Um, my first crumb, I must say I have a little over 20 crumbs under my belt, including a Caribbean crumb. And my first crumb was in the years 1976, 77 with the Mighty Zay. That time I was in my early 20s. And I've never paused. Well, I don't think I'm able to take a pause if I want to because music is a thing that consumes you. Songwriting is like that. And I didn't start writing calypso. I started writing other songs, other popular songs. But then in Dominica, calypso is more or less the most stable, the most exhilarating form of music. Since we have a carnival, and carnival is a big part of our culture, calypso is the biggest part of carnival. So calypso, that's why you find many other artists usually end up in calypso because calypso is like a magnet; it pulls you. It gives you a ready audience. If you want to change your name in a country in the Caribbean, just go into sing calypso, use your calypso name 1 year, and your people forget your name for the rest of your life, and they call you that name, whichever you choose to be called.
That's true, that's true.
Yeah. So I have been doing this from well, as far back as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
But the older guy used to always tell me, make a song about this guy, make a song about this guy. So the older heads around me, my older brother included, realized my talent before I knew it myself.
Right.
I just kind of grabbed it and hooked onto it and stayed with it. And like I said, I have worked with many artists, and I still work with many artists in the Caribbean as well.
Right. So you don't only write for Dominican calypsonians, you write for calypsonians. Which other countries?
Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia,
Mm.
St. Kitts and Nevis. These I can think of at the top of my head right away.
So you write calypsonians for calypsos for calypsonians in Grenada, it says St. Kitts and Vincent, and so on. So have your songs won the crown in any of those other islands?
Well, almost in Grenada, I came first runner up,
First
and I
runner
have
up.
had the most popular song in St. Lucia 1 year, most
Mm-hmm.
popular song in Nevis 1 year.
So
Um,
so okay, so I'm Dominican, and when you write a song for somebody like Dice or one of the other calypsonians, um, it really captures a certain contemporary issue or something going on in the country. How do you, how are you able to do that same thing in a country where you may not be as intimately familiar
that's a very good
as
question.
Dominica?
That's a good question. Two things. I listen to the radio stations in the other islands when especially when if I'm going to write for say Randy Isaac, who is one of the main singers in Grenada. I listen to the radio stations and I talk to him. I let him tell me what issues he feels passionate about, what issues the people would like to hear about, you know. So
Hmm.
there might be the two auxiliaries I use to write songs for the country. Talk to the artists a lot and listen to the radio station, read the news, go online and check what's going on in the islands.
All right. So, all right, calypso is an art, and most people think that art is just something that just comes from the air, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, it's okay. It's not really necessary. You see, when schools have a tight budget, the first thing they cut is the art programs and so on.
Mm.
What is calypso? When a young man says, "Okay, I'm going to enter the calypso competition this year," what do you think? Having been around the scene for so long, what on average do you think is the thought process? Why would somebody want to become a calypsonian?
Well, one of two reasons I would say. One, somebody loves music and they love the stage and they want to be seen, they want to share, they have something to give, they have
Hmm.
something to share with the public via music.
Right.
Or and that and the fact that somebody may be passionate about development or non-development of his country.
Okay.
So having been coming from slavery, had already been a tool of the oppressed or the tool of or a tool of the victim,
Right.
and it has moved from singing about the oppression of the plantation to the oppression from political um, strongmen, and this is one thing that politicians, particularly corrupt politicians, are afraid of because Calypso has power. Calypso has helped dethrone many a corrupt leader. And that is why in Dominica you see the leader in Dominica is always trying to make sure he call election in December before Calypso comes around.
You know, I didn't think about it that way, but you're
Yeah.
so right.
Yeah. So when a young man decides to go and sing Calypso is because usually usually he has a talent that he wants to display. Calypso gives you a ready audience, especially Carnival Calypso. You have an audience guaranteed. You're gonna get heard. It's also pretty lucrative. I mean, compared to other music art forms, and so it's either be one of those things, or like I said, he has a passion for his country, and he wants to put his country on the right track.
Okay. So there are two things. There's, let's call it fame and fortune, right?
Right?
Somebody that wants that popularity. People know who I am. I compete in the calypso competition. That type of fame that's associated with the music industry. So there's that one, and then the other one is the same way someone will take a piece of paper and write. Nowadays, go on their computer and email an article to a newspaper or something where they can voice an opinion about something that they feel strongly about. A calypsonian will say, this is what's going on in my country. I want to be able to express my opinion about that and to give ear to it. So that those are the two reasons that you say that
Yeah.
the two purposes of calypso in our culture.
Probably the two most popular, the most prevalent.
Popular reasons. Right. Right. So so when you party around, um, have to write a song for a particular calypsonian, how do you approach that? What are the different aspects or facet that goes into? If I come to you, I say, Pat, I always had a secret desire to sing, sing calypso. I want you to write a song for me. What that that is totally theoretical, by the way. I have no such desire. But how would you approach that?
That's another good question. First thing, I need to know the level of your talent. So I'll give you a little audition, hear how you sing.
Right.
Then you have to consider the artist's education background.
Mm-hmm.
If not education background, knowledge background.
Okay.
And your experience in music.
Okay.
And you find the person's passion by talking to them. So by talking to an artist, I know if an artist wants to be controversial, or if he wants to stay away from the controversy, these two things basically, your music experience, your musical knowledge. That way I know what kind of song you can take, what kind of song you can carry.
Right.
And you have to listen to the artist a lot too, because you want to write a song for the artist. So when he sings it, it sounds like he wrote it himself.
Right.
So you have to get to know your artist. And like I write for several artists at one time, and I give everybody the best that I have. But that is the best that you can carry. Like if you can carry 40 pounds, you get 40 pounds. You can carry 60 pounds, you get 60 pounds to carry. And
I understand. Based on the capacity
and the ability.
Yeah. That's interesting. So some years you have your songs competing against each other?
Every year, yeah. And our intention is always to try to get first king and first runner-up, which we've done several times. Once or twice, we've even got 3 out of the 4 winners. We never gotten all the 4 winners, but 3 out of the 4 winners so far.
Wow. So, and that shows a lot of versatility. Pat, I have to take a quick commercial break to get a word from the sponsors. When we come back, I want to talk to you, have some technical stuff to you, talk about the different components of a calypso, and what makes a calypso as opposed to a reggae song or some other kind of song. What are the different aspects of a calypso? So let's take a quick break, folks, and we'll be right back.
Presented by.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
If you live in Canada, the US, and the UK and are looking for Dominica products including cocoa sticks, bay rum, coffee, soaps, crafts, and other popular Dominica items, then look no further. You can now shop on BuyDominicaOnline.com, a secure, easy-to-navigate website selling a wide variety of Dominica-made and Dominica-inspired products. When you shop on BuyDominicaOnline.com, you are helping to grow Dominica's economy. Go to BuyDominicaOnline.com and enjoy home away from home.
Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much, much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com, or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
I'm on a program right now.
Welcome back, everyone. To this week in interview, my guest tonight is Mr. Pat Aaron, the kingmaker in Dominica. I call him the kingmaker because he has the Midas touch. You hear he just casually said, "Oh, I have won over 20 crowns." What he's saying is that he's written songs that has won Calypso King over 20 times in Dominica. And when we come back, I will ask him how many different people he has written songs for that has won the Calypso King over the year. So Pat is undoubtedly, unarguably a kingmaker. He has the Midas touch when it comes to calypsos in Dominica. And so Pat, you know, when we take the break, we were talking about, you know, calypso, if you have to write a song for a particular artist and so on. What are the different aspects of a calypso? Let's say there's a young person listening to us right now, and they're interested in becoming a calypsonian, whether as a songwriter, composer, or performer themselves. What are the different aspects of a calypso, of a good calypso?
And in addition to that, what makes calypso different from the other genre of music?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
With a calypso, you have to be able to get spontaneous reaction from the crowd, from your audience.
Mm-hmm.
While another, like a reggae or R&B or any other song will grow, you can write a song. It's a simpler song to write than calypso.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the song plays constantly, people can get to like a song that they didn't like at the first time. But calypso has to have a good component of or the word I'm looking for is
like a hook.
A hook.
Mm-hmm.
Immediate impact on people.
Mm-hmm.
So calypso lyrics have to have that power, and melody also is as important as lyrics. And in every calypso competition, these are the two aspects of the criterion that carry the most points: lyrics and melody. Then you have presentation and rendition and and all these other things.
Right. But so a calypso has to speak immediately and strongly to the audience.
Yes, and like I say, immediate impact is important.
Right.
So you have to really home in on that aspect of the skill. And you must also, what I have found out in my years of experience is poetic lyrics give the song longevity.
Mm-hmm.
In such a way that every time somebody hears the song, they seem to hear something they didn't hear before.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, so that is most important. And in that vein, now you need to choose your topics properly as well, because your topic or your subject matter is as important. You have to sing things that will attract and draw and keep people, because people love calypso in the island because it is the tool of the victim and the underprivileged who suffer only under malgovernance. If it's a political calypso and if it's social issues, there's social problems, they suffer with it. And carnival time, calypso time, the time when you voice their frustration, and so that is how the people getting like the song. The song represents them. The song gives them let them able to exhale. So the song has to be very representative of people and the things that bother them, their problems and their plights of life.
People have to identify with what is it the calypsonian
Yes.
is saying at the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
and in many cases, calypso is the only weapon that the victims and the underprivileged people have to use against the people who have oppressed them all through the years. So that is what makes people love calypso so much, you know. I remember once I was walking on the streets of Roseau, and an old bourgeois lady, you know, I don't know who she is, but she was walking along with me, and she called my name, and then she told me about writing calypso, and I realized, wow, I didn't know this kind of people were checking calypso too. So I realized everybody loves calypso.
Everybody.
Everybody from in all the Caribbean islands, everybody love calypso because I think calypso is a liberator.
Mhm.
You
You know, I have a little theory that I say that, you know, what calypso is to the Caribbean person is what rap and hip hop is to the ghetto kid in the US.
know,
You know,
yes,
is their form of expression. And even some people look at me sideways when I say I also see it as related to country and western in a sense, because it's that
controversy is the same
hardship.
thing. Yes,
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
yeah. And so when somebody comes and they want to see a calypso, sing a calypso, the competition requires you to have two songs. And I mean, traditionally, people have one up-tempo song, a jumpy song, and one that is supposed to be a little more in-depth and intellectual.
Yeah.
So do you find it difficult as a songwriter to satisfy those two needs for a particular artist who may be more bent towards one type of calypso versus another?
It depends on the artist. If we had to talk about a guy like Dice, I mean, among all I've written for, you have kings like Hurricane,
Mm-hmm.
who won, I think about 3 times. Plus, he won the Caribbean Crown. And then these are the guys who can carry the load, carry the weight.
Mm-hmm.
Ice is probably the most talented artist I've worked with because of his ability to take a song, make it his own, and bring it out much better than you even thought it would have been.
Right, right,
And
right.
Bob, remember, I'm sure you remember Bupley. Bupley used to look forward to every year before he passed. Bless his soul. So you have to know that, like I said earlier, you have to know your artist and know what you have to see the artist on the stage. When you're writing for an artist, you have to see them in your mind. You see them on the stage, you see how they act, how they react, how they
Mm-hmm.
present. So when you take all those things into consideration, it looks like the artist wrote the song, and that is what you're looking for as a writer, to make the artist look like he is the owner of the song.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, most people know that you write for Dice, and therefore they associate your success with Dice's success. How many other people have you written Calypso for that has gotten that top prize of the Calypso King?
Maybe about 8, so you know.
About 8 people. Wow, that is awesome. Uh, Father, I want to talk about the future of Calypso going forward. As we started talking, I said that I admire the fact that Calypso is continuously progressive. When we talk about the future of Calypso, and there's a couple things I want to explore with you. Number one is, why are we struggling to have similar progress on the female side. Why are we struggling to have female calypsonians that hold their own, in a constant manner against their brothers? I was saying that when I was growing up, boys used to run things in school. Boys were ahead in math and science and so on. And you have a one or two girls that were also bright, but the bright girls used to stand up. I get the impression that now it's the opposite. You have a lot of bright girls, and when you find a boy that's doing well, he's a gem, he stands out. This hasn't happened in Calypso. How do you have any suggestions or ideas as to how we can invest in our ladies to make them come on par with the guys?
We attempted that in the 80s, the Calypso Association, of which I used to be the secretary, to have a women's Calypso competition. Because it's very difficult for a woman to win among the men because the man has a stronger voice. And the Calypso is strength of voice is important in there too.
Okay.
So every now and then you will find, and very seldom, you will find a woman will win the crown. I think Tasha P is the only woman who has won the crown in Dominica.
Tasha P is a stalwart.
Yeah, singing Sunday once or twice. At least one time I know I deserved it, but they bypassed her. But it's very difficult for a woman to.
Say that again. You think once or twice she could have won the crown, but they bypassed her?
Sunday, yes, singing Sunday.
Oh wow!
Really one time. But competitions, different opinions of judges.
Right.
Yeah,
so, are the Calypso workshops
for a woman to really? She could win one, but difficult to double that or triple that, because of the power of the man's voice. The man's voice is rougher, it's stronger, and you can take the man's voice. Traditionally, has been the voice of Calypso. You have people like singing Sandra, Calypsos, who have won the crowns in Trinidad among the men, but they've never been able to dominate.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it just that because of the way Calypso is, where it requires you to be on stage and to flare yourself and that kind of thing, women feel a little more reserved and therefore?
No, I don't think so, because there are some women who can perform, and more than the men. Tasha P is a fair example of that. I don't think it. I think it has more to do with the quality, the power of the voice, the quality of the voice. Women can sing very well, but
the Calypso lends itself to a masculine voice better.
Yes, Calypso lends itself to a masculine voice.
Have any women approached you to write for them? Have you written for any women?
Oh yeah, I've written for quite a few women. I've written for
Okay.
Singing Sandy for one. Leona. Remember Leona sang a song, Baby Machine.
Okay.
Quite a few of them that don't come to mind at the moment, but yeah.
That you've written for. So because we have to encourage them. They're half of the population, half of the talent pool, and so we would like to see that. Now, in terms of ensuring continuity and continuous improvement, are we doing workshops with the young people in schools? Does the Calypso Association have specific deliberate plans and programs that helps to identify the talent and give it the opportunity to develop?
Well, frankly, in my opinion, not enough. We always have a junior monarch competition every year, which is being handled by the Leo Club of Dominica. The Calypso Association, to be frank, is not doing it. I mean, they support the junior monarch financially and in any other way they can, but the association could and should do more to help and encourage the juniors.
The juniors. Yeah. I remember when I was in grammar school one year, Chuck Doss had come to Dominica, and he did a little Calypso workshop with us. We had a huge impact. I remember it up to today, you know. He performed one or two
I
songs,
think
extempo, and so
that
on.
was an initiative by Sherlock Mascam.
You think it was initiated by Mascam?
Yeah, we brought him down to Dominica and we had him do some of the schools
That was in
and
the 80s, early 80s.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember he came to grammar school and he did a little speech for us and then
You said in the 80s?
in the 80s.
No, but that was not us because that was not us.
Yeah, because I left grammar school in 83, so it would have been probably around, I think I was either in third form or second form, so it probably be around 1980, 81.
Okay, no, that was not us.
Yeah, he came and he did a speech for, a presentation for us, and then the folks that were interested in calypso, he did a workshop with them specifically. But I think like in Dominica, we have enough iconic calypsonians that can go into the schools and do the same thing and probably have the same impact that Chuck does would have had on us
So
as
Tony,
young people.
you're telling me you were exposed to chocolate and you didn't get into singing calypso, man?
You know what it is. I always have a heavy voice, right?
Uh,
And as a little child, folk like people around me always tell me, "But you cannot sing, don't sing." For
well,
whatever that word sing.
that was an error because
So
every voice is important.
yeah,
But
and so it was never. I always, it's like now I'm on radio speaking.
yeah,
I was always encouraged to speak because of my voice.
yeah.
But sing,
Um,
from the time I belted the first word, like, I know you shouldn't sing. So that wasn't
the calypso needs not just the calypso and the singer. You need the backstage people,
right, right, right.
the stage acts, the managers. We need that as well, and you have so we all play our part.
Yeah. The, so Pat, as a writer, a very successful calypso writer, um, is it just the nature of the art form that you have people, as you talk about folks in the background, that when you do the performance and somebody wins the crown, you almost don't even know who wrote the song? All the focus is on the calypsonian and the king. Is there something that can be done to have more of that public reward for the other folks? The
Yeah,
composers, the
yeah,
writers, the arrangers, and all of those things. Is there a room for
yes.
that aspect
I
there?
mean, there is not just room, there's room and there's need, especially for the producers in the studio
Mm-hmm.
who produce the music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the artist should always make sure he pushes his team. Your producer, your manager, your writer, your backup people.
Mm-hmm.
But it is always expected that who the people see is who gets most of the glory, and it's fair.
Right.
It's fair too, But the other people need to be recognized as well because that's part of the harvest of all the hard work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Somebody's telling me that they posted a question on there. Some if you see some of the comments, maybe you can put them up so Pat can answer them. So Pat, talk about the state of calypso in Dominica this year, right? Um, there are so many political calypsos. I remember a few years ago, I interviewed my good friend Steinberg Henry. He had written a book called Calypso Drift, and then he had a sequel called Calypso Drift and Water, where he was trying to suggest that I may be paraphrasing. I hope I'm not paraphrasing him incorrectly. But what I got from him was that Calypsonian seems to be finding their inspiration mostly from one source, which is political and social, but Dominica has so much more to offer in terms of our natural beauty and all of the gifts that Dominica have. Why is it that calypsonians cannot use those inspirations in their songwriting? So I need you to just address that in general,
Yes,
and the
yes.
criticism that calypsonians get for doing that.
It's my pleasure to address that.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of a competition is to win. When you go into a competition, you're going to the competition to win.
Mm-hmm.
Carnival time, nobody wants to hear how beautiful the country is. We used to have independence competition. That was the time for that. Usually, people, I have found out in my experience that people who kind of against or who don't like political calypso are people who are protecting their parties, especially their parties in power. So people are gonna come and droves to Calypso Commission to hear how beautiful Dominica is, right? They want to know, they want the social commentary. They want to
Mm-hmm.
get back at the politicians who have been wronging them all year round.
Mm-hmm.
The politicians, they are the power brokers who have, for want of a better phrase, made their lives a little difficult, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that is
Right.
their chance to get back. That is their revenge. They don't want to hear Dominica mountain and Dominica beautiful. Nobody wants to hear it. They want to think that you're never going to come in Dominica
Mm-hmm.
or any other island for that matter. You can only, I mean, how many songs can you come and sing about how beautiful the country is? You do that in that one day or put a few lines depending on the topic of your song.
Right.
You know, people want to hear the issues, man.
People
So,
want to be, like you said, people want to be able to identify with the subject matter and the theme of the
yeah,
calypso.
in every genre, songs are about the suffering of the people, you know, country western,
Original hip
R&B,
hop, yeah,
hip hop,
R&B.
contemporary music. It's about the sufferings and the problems of the people. That's what draws the people. That's what make people come to the show and people buy your record because
Right.
you're represented by what you're saying. So that thing about writing about beautiful thing about Dominica, we know what Dominica beauty already, man. We don't want to write what we're going to put the politician and them in step, the politicians fit to the fire, make them be afraid to do wrong things.
So I go back to what you say, excuse me, that the elections are called before Carnival. So I want to make sure, because I'm going to be involved in electoral reform. And one of the first things we have to do is to put a fixed date for election. So
Definitely.
so I have to make sure that I remember that and make sure that that the date for election is
It's after,
somewhere in April.
yeah, after Canada.
Somewhere in April or May, after
Mm,
the carnival season every year, when because like if you look at this year, so many issues are highlighted by calypsonians this year,
mm,
you know. So much so that it seems to be stepping on somebody's really, you know, if you want to say their corn on their big toe, on their toe or something, that they have to squeal.
mm.
um
I would say the other press conference 2 days ago that showed
mhm,
that the politicians are now even trying to venture into the realm of calypso to soften calypso, but they can't do
mhm.
that. Calypso cannot be softened, you know.
Well, tell them to come in, because you remember how you started the show. You
They have
said
to come and sing a
you
calypso.
said that politicians should
Yes,
they should
come
have
and
a
sing.
calypso competition among politicians to
Yeah,
qualify for them to qualify. So tell them to come. You're waiting for them to come, right?
that's
Come into the arena.
very
Yeah,
true.
definitely. I have a question from a listener that's asking, in terms of when a song is written,
Mm.
who owns the right to the song between the songwriter and the performer?
It's always a writer,
The song continues to belong to the writer.
unless the writer sells the song to the performer.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but the writer owns the right to the song.
So that's very interesting. So when a calypsonian has his body of songs, right,
Mhm.
and he has to go to perform, he's actually performing um, with the permission of the writer.
Well, I don't want to say permission, so to speak, but although it is that, but I don't want to say that it's not like the writer would want to take away the rights of the calypsonian to sing the song. You understand? Because um, you write a song for a man, the man sings the song. Hopefully, you get a share of the profits. If your songs are properly registered, and there is residual income from the public performance, from the radio stations and things, so then that goes to the writer, but I do not want you to frame and the word the phrase permission, because when you write a song for man, you're not going to restrict the man from singing the song anyway.
From singing the song. So how organized is this? We talk about intellectual property rights and those kind of things. How organized is something like this in terms of our calypsos? Is there like formal agreement between a writer and a singer, a performer? Okay, so we do the song, and if that song goes on to be a hit, how you share the
Yeah, exactly.
that is that formally done in Dominica, or is it still just kind of like a gentleman's agreement?
Usually a gentleman's agreement, usually that way. And
So
since the income from the thing are not huge, so
right.
guys just agree and make a verbal agreement. If you win, I get 25% or 30%. And basically that's it. And most time it works out. It works out pretty good.
Okay. So is there a need to
Formalize.
formalize the that music industry in
Well,
that kind of a
yes, I
sense?
think there's always space for improvement and for further development, always. There was a time when CDs used to sell, and you would print 1,500 CDs and you'd sell almost all of it, but that don't do anymore. So that is an income stream that has disappeared. So it's only in what the artist makes in the competitions, and usually only the competition, because for the rest of the year the artist can sing the song anywhere else, and the writer doesn't really demand or expect to get anything from him for his other performances. Only during the carnival season.
Okay. So for example, sometimes I'm in New York and I get involved with folks who bring guys up to sing. The writer is not involved in that at all. Oh, okay. So you saying also that that you can write a song for a performer and sell that song to that person, and then once that is sold, it's agreed that that totally belongs to the performer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is not something that happens a lot, because, like I said, the income from calypso in the islands is not enough that a calypsonian can buy a song, because if you're going to sell a song, you're going to sell a song for the money. You never know what can happen. So
Right.
You're going to sell a song for a substantial amount of money. And you wouldn't find a calypsonian and have the money to buy a song. So it's just usually a mutual agreement. And then if the song goes viral, then that's where the writer would benefit from the public performance and from the other royalties and residual income that are
Right.
associated with the song.
Okay. So, but I mean, if carnival is such an integral part of our life, our culture, and calypso is right at the center of carnival, why haven't the Caribbean, or I guess Trinidad has done it, but more with soca, but why hasn't the Caribbean been able, Dominica, let's if we want to talk about Dominica or Grenada or St. Vincent or St. Lucia, if it's something that is so much a part of the society, how can we move it to where it becomes an industry that's beneficial to the artists and to the society in general? What is missing? I'm sure you've thought about that a lot. What are your thoughts that would move that on that aspect?
Well, in Dominica, for one, the population is very small there.
Mm-hmm.
The radio stations and the other public houses don't pay royalties.
Mm-hmm.
So the royalty department has to be more stringent, has to be more established.
Mm-hmm.
And Dominica itself needs to have a stronger representation in that department. So people go around and the public houses, radio station, the television stations, and make sure they adhere to the rules and they pay the dues.
Mm-hmm.
Artists can survive.
But Pat, what I guess what I'm asking is, what more can be done? So, for example, I know you talk about population and hip hop has a whole
Yeah.
millions of people that consume hip hop, but they've been able to like evolve into a hip hop lifestyle. So there is music, there is merchandising, there is all of the sponsorship and all of those things that go on that brings even more money into the industry than the music itself per se.
That is very true.
What is stopping, and
Well,
I'm
I
asking
believe
you because you've been involved in this for so long. I'm sure you've seen the hurdles.
Economy is population and economy.
Mm-hmm.
Because
But
economy is important.
But I want to push back a little bit, Pat, on that because, for example, we have a jazz and Creole thing that we're developing, and people seem to be uptaking jazz, and they dress really nice, and they have this, formal type of thing. Um, why can't we do something with calypso like that? So that you have carnival and you have calypso, but is there a way where we can say, okay, let's extend the calypso season, so to speak. Let's have something calypso in August, or so we build that kind of thing. That's what I'm asking. I'm saying, is the Calypso Association exploring those kind of possibilities
No,
that
but
would take the music to a different level?
we should. I mean, it has been tried a few times, but it needs, and it never really worked out. But it needs to be done continuously so it can grip. You know,
Right.
yeah, it's a very good suggestion because that was discussed maybe up to yesterday on another radio station, and that needs to be done because the radio stations have a great part to play in that too, because if they play calypso more, because remember in Dominica and most of the islands after Carnival you have a period of Lent, the calypso is considered, unworthy. So that kills the rhythm that begins with the Carnival, and then the radio stations don't play calypso, don't play enough of calypso,
Right.
What you're saying there is a very good point that needs to be done, but it has to be done in collaboration. The radio people have to be involved in that as well, in that development.
Certainly. Somebody, Alvin Thomas, is asking if the calypsonians decide to produce or record the song, say a compilation, does that require the writer's permission? And how about the proceeds from the sale of the music? I guess if you do, like, for example, let's take a best of Dice that has 20 or 15 of Dice favorite songs over the year, is that automatically would involve the writer?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay, so that answers that. Okay. Those are the questions I had for you, Pat. I think now people are intimately familiar with your contribution if they had not been before. There were some people when I announced that were not aware that you used to compete, that you used to sing calypso as a musician, and I guess you used to write for yourself. So you were not able to write a song to get you the crown. How many years did you compete for?
Just about 4 years. I came. Let me see. About 4 years.
About 4 years.
Yeah, I
And
came
it
to the crown once or
mhm.
twice. I came first runner up once or
Okay,
twice.
first runner up. Okay,
I won. I
who
won a,
won in those years? You remember?
usually NC.
NC. Yeah,
Yeah,
NC was a giant at the time.
NC is probably the best, the most competitive calypsonian Dominica has had. He's just and another thing I learned in line with that same topic, he always liked to argue, and he wants to
Mhm.
win every argument.
He's competitive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very competitive. And I
Mm.
realized to be a calypso king, you have to love to argue because the calypso competition is an argument on stage.
I like that.
So and she was very good at that.
Yeah,
Although, I
NC
mean, when
was a
it got
giant.
to things like buy local, I've beaten him and all the other calypsonians who used to beat me in the calypso
Hmm
competition,
hmm
the
hmm
buy local
hmm
competition, but the carnival thing, the carnival competition, I think NC was the most competitive.
Right.
Um,
And you had people like Scrunter and
from
the Hunter and
Rap,
those kind of guys. Rabbit, uh,
Hixie,
King Shaky, Hixie.
all those guys,
Just
they,
a real evolution of of it, you know.
yeah.
Somebody saying dry gold, the calypso, the agri, the other things, they will require a regional approach for it to work. Without that volume, it's difficult to make an economic sector. You
Oh, yeah.
know, there's an argument to be made for scale. Or when Prosper says, I remember when Pat was singing, he was one of my favorite calypsonians. But good night, Owen. Owen is always on tuning in every Wednesday. One of the regular listeners. But I have a little story about the idea of small population, right? I came back to Dominica in 1990 from university and I started working. And I wanted to buy some appliances for my mother at Castle Bruce. And so coming from the US, because I studied in the US, I was accustomed to taking stuff on hire purchase per se. You go, they give you your appliance, you put a down payment, and you pay every month until you finish paying it off. I went to every store in Roseau and showed them my pay stub. I agreed even to do direct salary deduction to them so I could get a stove and a fridge for my mom. And nobody would give me any appliance on hire purchase, right? What they were willing to do was give me a pro forma invoice to go to the bank, take a loan from the bank, buy my appliance, and pay the bank. About 3 months later, Cots opened a store in Roseau and started doing hire purchase. People would make the argument that Dominica didn't have the population to support that kind of a business and industry, and so how many fridge you would sell, how many stove you would sell. Cots came, like, do you remember when Cots came and
Yeah,
the
I
amount
do.
of things people take on higher purchase, people,
And it
furniture
is
maker.
a large population for higher purchase, because it's like taking a loan from the bank. I mean, a smaller population makes it even easier for the merchant because
Exactly.
you don't have to go all over the world looking for his customer. Everybody knows everybody. They know where to find you if you're not paying. So
Exactly. And
I see.
so I bring that story in to say that, we know we're a small population. That's one of the circumstances that we have to take into account when we're planning.
Mhm,
So we take it into account and we see how we can deal with it.
mhm.
That's what I'm saying. Because we have to start where we are, you know. When Dr. Trippi told that to us when she was on in January, you have to start where you are, deal with what you have, and make it work for what you want to achieve. And so I agree, a small population poses a special challenge, but like you say, there are also advantages that a small population pose. And so let's put our heads together and see if we can build on the success that we've had with the Calypso Association and Calypso in general in Dominica.
Most definitely.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's anything that we need to talk about that you had in mind that we could talk about that I haven't asked you, but You've answered all the questions that I have. I think my audience is intimately more familiar with you now and calypso in Dominica. Except, before I let you go, I want to get your opinion about the calypsos this year.
Well, Dominica, I believe, has stamped its authority on calypso in the islands.
Mhm.
Is why I guess guys calypsonian in the islands are calling me to ask me to write for them. And when they will tell me they want me to give them what I give in Dice. So Dice's name is pretty well known among the Caribbean countries too. So Dominica has taken its place in that in where calypso is concerned. And that is something we must embrace and keep. So we always have good calypsos. Our standard is pretty high. We have very good calypsos every year, and this year is no different.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe after the semi-final, which is this weekend, Saturday, you will begin to hear some of the real juicy stuff coming up, because up to semi-final is one song. And those who make it into the finals, then they have to come with a second song, because the final competition is 10 men. 9 will be chosen from the semi-finals to meet the king.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 men competing at 2 songs with that 20 songs. That's when you will hear the cream of the songs. But the competition is very good. The standard is very high this year as usual. And we expect a very, very good calypso season this year. And we expect to put a lot of pressure on the politicians. That's always the most important thing to me, to put pressure.
My biggest takeaway for tonight is that whenever we get to the point where we are setting a date for election, we have to make sure we set it for where it happens after Carnival.
Soon after Carnival.
Soon after Carnival. So, Pat, I want to tell you, thank you so much, man, for joining. I really enjoyed this conversation tonight. I know you in the competition in the sense that your songs are in, so good luck with your songs as usual. And look forward to having you back soon, man.
Yeah. One thing we didn't touch on the calypso things. In Dominica, we had one calypso tent for many, many years, which is Stardom. Campers joined the free. We've been there for about maybe 20 years or so.
Right.
So calypso tents played a big part in developing the artists and the art form as well, because the weeks leading into Carnival, you have the calypso tents performing every week. So that is very important too. This weekend, usually Stardom is on a Wednesday night, Mass Camp is on a Friday night, except on the weekend preceding the quarterfinal, the semi-final, and the final. Mass Camp will perform on a Thursday to allow the artists to rest on Friday for the competition on Saturday.
On Saturday, I see.
So this Thursday, Mass Camp is on, and this Saturday, the Calypso semi-final is on. It's a very big show. Many people prefer the semi-final than the final, because the semi-final is so keen, so keenly competed, because everybody, all of the 20 guys want to be one of the 9 chosen, and guys really don't hold back any punches that time. They come with everything, for the semi-final. So in many people's mind, that is the big issue, because when you make the final, you kind of relax. But to the semi-final, you can relax. You want to be one among the 9. So this weekend is going to be a very, very tough semi-final calypso competition.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to. The quarterfinals was good as well. I can imagine the semis will even be grander.
Yeah, quite a few good guys who didn't make it into the quarters, and the quarters you're choosing 20 out of
32, right? Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
So we want people to come and support the semi-final this year. They will, because they are very good songs. They are good songs as usual. And everybody knows that this is the most competitive competition, the semi-final.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and you know the involvement of the tents
Yes,
really gives the calypsonians a chance to perform and to test
yes,
different things
yes. And the
about their
public,
songs, and you can see the result when they come on stage. They're so much more professional and more comfortable in
yes.
moving around and interacting with the crowd. So that is huge. So folks, so tonight is Stardom, I imagine, and
Tomorrow night
tomorrow
in Moscow.
is Mascam, because there's Friday is a rest day, Saturday is the semifinals.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Pat. And as I said, enjoy the season. I wish all Dominicans have a really safe and enjoyable Carnival 2023. What's the theme for Mass Dominic this year?
What is the film? I
Is
don't.
because sometimes they have a film. They don't know that anymore. I know they used to have a
Yeah, they
film.
should have a film. I guess I just haven't paid
You
attention to
just
that.
haven't paid attention. You're too busy with your calypsos. All right.
Thanks for having me, and I want to take the opportunity to invite Dominicans to support the calypsonian, support the tents. If you can even come to Dominica, go online, purchase the show,
The pay-per-view, yeah, on ComC TV, right?
and support the calypsonians. You know, and they need the encouragement.
You know something, Pat? Before you came on, while you were trying to come on, I spoke about Solo. I don't know if you want to say
Yes,
a few
yes,
words about him.
yes. I mean, it will be remiss of me if I didn't mention him because, to my mind,
Uh-huh.
Solo's main song, the song is known most for Mass Cemetery,
Hmm.
is the best calypso ever written in Dominica, in my opinion.
Really?
Yes, because
Wow.
that song, Mass Cemetery, it is a very comforting song, you know. You see, when he says, Punu viwe pose,
Uh-huh.
it makes death looks like just go and take a rest, you know.
Right.
It's a song that brings a lot of comfort, you know, to people in an area where people usually don't discuss dying, you know, and
Hmm.
and he was just laid to rest 2 days ago. He came
Right.
to Dominica to see his mother, and he ended up in an unfortunate accident where he died of drowning.
Hmm.
Very, very sad. One of the best or most loved Calypso kings in all the times of Calypso in Dominica. And like I say, his song Mass in the Cemetery to me is one of the best Calypsos ever coming from Dominica.
Well, one is this, Patrick. Maybe we can come back and we can talk about those icons, because one of my favorite calypsonians is Spider.
Yes.
I listen to Spider's Calypso all the time. So I'm in the car, I just go on YouTube, I find his Calypso and I listen to it. So maybe well, next time you come, we can just give people a little bit of a background, a little history of some of the greats, and they can see, where
Definitely.
the different calypsonians were, Spider, Peaky, and all of those guys.
Seeing
Yeah,
Greg Brand is the breaker, one of the
Breaker. Some
bingo.
Somebody's asking about a third eye. I don't know if I'm not familiar with what the issue is, but somebody say, ask Pat, what is his take on third eye? Is there something going on with third eye?
Yes, in every competition, there is always a major casualty that people
Mm-hmm.
should have made it through, and he didn't make it through. Third eye is that casualty this year.
Oh, he's the
I,
casualty this year.
for
Okay.
myself to that, because after the show was over, he's one of the guys who's still in my mind because he had a good song, well presented, and he's an older calypsonian,
Mm-hmm.
but he was flawless. And even while he was singing, I noticed, he was smooth and flawless, and all that should be taken into consideration. And he ended up being the major casualty in the
Okay.
competition.
That's
Yeah,
what that was. Okay.
talking about him.
All right. So, Pat, thank you.
Thank you,
And have a good night.
thank you,
You're saying something else?
everybody. No, that's it.
Okay. All right. And listeners, thank you so much for staying with us. I know we went extra, but Pat struggled to come on in the first, so we lost about 15 minutes of the. So we just made it up at the end. I thank Pat for his indulgence and his time and his talent and all what he has contributed to Calypso in Dominica. We wish him well, and hope he has many, many more years of this prolific songwriting and talent to just continue to shine. And hopefully, we can organize to have some young people sit with Pat and try to study the way he produces his craft, his art, and learn from him, so that we can have that continuity. We have the talent, we have the folks right there. Let's make sure that there's that transfer of talent, to younger people. So when Pat feels like, I've been doing this for so long, I want to take a break, there's somebody already in place that is also writing and competing and helping, all of that. So, listeners, you had it. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Thank you so much for those of you who contributed, um, and made comments. I really appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the participation, and I hope that we will see you next week. I'm hoping to do something else on Carnival next week. I'm trying to get another a staple in the calypso industry to come on, and so we can talk about more calypsos next week. And then the second half of the month we will devote it to Black History Month, and see how we can push our own agenda. All right. So very good night to you. Continue to enjoy your week. And February, this first day of February, time to redouble your efforts. If 1 month is checked off the calendar, make sure that you're doubling your efforts to achieve your goals and objectives this year. So thank you to the team that's behind the scene that makes this week in interview happen. I really appreciate the contributions that you make to making me look, I think, making me shine at the front. Just like how Pat, his calypsos, makes his performers shine. You guys make me feel comfortable up here because of all the work that you do beforehand. So good night, listeners, and let's see you again next week, Wednesday. All right? Have a good night.
Good night.